AP will do it wrong, so we're here to do it right. Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert here with our Week 4 GE Top 25 rankings. Our official set of rankings that we will bring you every single Monday right here on the channel. And I can tell you right now that there are not too many major shakeups in our rankings for this week. Week 3 of college football was very entertaining, but we only had 2 top 25 matchups, and we really didn't see a whole lot of upsets like we saw in Week 2. I think that's all going to change with a massive Week 4 on deck. Lots of top 25 matchups, lots of trap games for teams out there. We're going to be breaking down those games here over the next few days. But for now, this is what we've got. So let's go ahead and dive into it. We're going to jump in to our official top 25, starting in the top 10, where we do have a new number 1 team. We do have a new number 1 team here at the Gridiron Expert. And if you've watched our top 25 videos over the last few weeks, we have said Georgia is going to remain the number 1 team in the country in our rankings until they give us a reason to move them down, until they prove us otherwise and prove us in a bad way. That meant either a loss or a very bad performance in a game that they should have won big time. And that's what we saw on Saturday. The Bulldogs narrowly escaping Kentucky 13-12 in Lexington. It was a very lackluster, just bad performance from Georgia, who was nearly, 24-point favorites entering that game. So the Bulldogs, we do move down to number 2. Texas, the Longhorns, are our new number 1 team. They have looked phenomenal from start to finish. There has not been one instant in a game where I've been really concerned with Texas. They had that massive blowout victory on the road against Michigan. And then last week, it was UTSA. They lose Quinn Ewers, and yet Arch Manning comes in and looks phenomenal. So you can argue Texas has the best quarterback room in the entire country. Their defense is playing at a very high level. Their offense is one of the best in the country. They have looked the part from start to finish. And after what I saw on Saturday, even though Georgia played a quote-unquote tougher opponent than Texas, the Longhorns so far this year have looked like the better team. So give me Texas at number 1, Georgia at number 2. No changes between 3 and 5. Ohio State was on a bye week. They remain at number 3. Ole Miss and Alabama both got blowout victories on the road against power opponents. So that's big time for the Rebels and the Crimson Tide. Ole Miss beating Wake Forest 40-6. Alabama beating Wisconsin 42-10. A massive, massive win for Kalen DeBoer, getting a blowout victory over a power team in his first true test as head coach of the Crimson Tide. Both those teams look phenomenal. Both teams look playoff caliber. And no reason to jump Alabama over Ole Miss or Ole Miss over Ohio State. Those teams are going to stay put from where they were last week, but we'll start to see them shift, especially once we enter conference play. Below them, Missouri moving up a spot. The Tigers making a comeback against Boston College. Kind of got off to a slow start against the Eagles. Rallied, though, to win 27-21 in Columbia over a ranked BC team. They move up a spot. Tennessee moves up a spot following a 71-0 win over Kent State. This Volunteers team, guys, is ruthless. Well, they kicked an onside kick up 30 in the first half. I mean, Josh Heupel just does not care. And Tennessee has been very, very fun to watch. Their matchup on Saturday against Oklahoma going to be very interesting to see how the Volunteers offense goes up against that Oklahoma defense and vice versa. Should be a great game in Norman on Saturday. We'll be predicting that game here on the channel here in just a few days. But the Volunteers do move up one spot up to number 7. Penn State was on a bye week. We're not punishing Penn State. We're not saying that they didn't do anything bad. They were just on a bye week. Missouri obviously got a quality win. Tennessee obviously looking really, really good. They both, to me, both deserve to be over Penn State, who does drop 2 spots. Not because they're bad, not because they did something wrong. It'll all work itself out in the end, but they are number 8. Oregon and Miami rounding out our top 10. The Ducks finally waking up. Lackluster win over Idaho, lackluster win over Boise State. Some people were concerned about their road game in Corvallis against Oregon State. I didn't think Oregon was going to struggle in that game. I felt very confident they'd win, and that's exactly what happened. We even said that in our Week 3 prediction video. They win that game big, 49-14, finally looking like the Oregon team we were expecting to see for each of the last 2 weeks. So maybe that was the wake-up call Dan Lanning's squad needed. A rivalry game, you win by 35 on the road, you woke up, you looked good doing it. Maybe that's what Oregon needed as they prepare to enter their first year of Big Ten conference play. Miami also looking the part, right? Shut out Ball State 62-0. What can't this team do? The offense is electric with Cam Ward. The defense has been phenomenal. I know their schedule hasn't been the best as of yet. They've played a lot of cupcake teams, Florida being one of them, if we're being honest. But still, Miami has looked absolutely phenomenal from start to finish. They are the best team in the ACC until proven otherwise. We're about to enter conference play, so we'll see how that pans out. But I like this Miami team a lot, enough to put them in my top 10 over a team like Utah, who I actually bumped out of my top 10, down to number 11. They beat Utah State 38-21 without Cam Rising. That's something to note here. I think it would have been a much larger margin of victory if Cam Rising had been playing. He should be back for their massive matchup against Oklahoma State this weekend. But Utah, again, they didn't do anything wrong, but I like this Miami team a lot more. I like this Oregon team a lot more right now. The Utes in at number 11 could easily work their way back into the top 10 with a road victory at Oklahoma State on Saturday. We'll also be predicting that game here in just a few days. Kansas State, talk about some power in the Big 12. We've got Utah at 11, Kansas State at 12, Oklahoma State at 14, Iowa State down there at 17. So a lot of teams in the middle of our top 25 from the Big 12. Kansas State, though, getting a dominant top 20 victory over Arizona, winning 31-7 in the Wildcat Bowl in Manhattan on Friday night. Look, the Wildcats look great, man. They did. The running game was electric. The special teams did everything. Avery Johnson looked good. The defense looked great. I mean, Kansas State, they were my preseason pick to win the Big 12. I know I've got Utah ranked ahead of them barely. Doesn't matter right now. By the time the conference standings are all coming to an end in late November, early December, I do believe Kansas State will be at the top, and I do believe they will win this conference. I love what I saw from the Wildcats on Friday. That's why they move up at least one spot for us to number 12, ahead of a team like USC who is off a bye week, but they've got a massive game on Saturday against Michigan. So you hear what I'm saying? Massive top 25 matchups coming your way this week, which means these rankings will look drastically different next Monday. But USC down to 13 off a bye week. Again, not being punished, but Kansas State obviously beating a top 20 team justifies them jumping the Trojans for now. No changes for us from 14 through 17. None of those guys changed for us. Oklahoma State took care of business against Tulsa, beating them by 35. Oklahoma beat Tulane 34-19. LSU survived South Carolina 36-33, narrowly beating the Gamecocks. We're down 17-0, battled all the way back, and survived when South Carolina missed their field goal as time expired to try to send the game to overtime. So LSU very, very fortunate to survive that game. The Tigers remain at 16th for us. Same with Iowa State remaining at 17th following their bye week. So no changes kind of there in the middle of the pack for our top 25 rankings, and there's no need for it. There were no teams behind those teams that justified jumping them. None of those teams did anything worthy enough to jump the teams ahead of them, Iowa State over LSU or Oklahoma, none of that. So keep them in the middle of the pack there. Again, it will work itself out over these next few weeks. Notre Dame up a spot for us, beating Purdue 66-7. What a bounce back win for Notre Dame. Look, I'm not saying Purdue's this world beater or anything like that, but the question mark surrounding Notre Dame following their loss in Northern Illinois was, were they going to be prepared? A road game against a power opponent? Was Notre Dame going to sleepwalk through this, or were they going to come out with a vengeance? They came out with a vengeance. They dominated. It looked like the Notre Dame team that we expected to see last week. It was the Notre Dame team that we expect to see all year long. So if they can play like that the rest of the way and then blow out their opponents the rest of the way, I do believe the Fighting Irish can still find themselves in the college football playoff. Again, Purdue, not a world beater by any means, but a good bounce-back, confidence-building win for Marcus Freeman and the Fighting Irish. They come in at 18. They jump Louisville, who was at 18th last week. Again, Notre Dame just beating a team by 59 on the road. To me, bump them ahead of the Cardinals, who had a bye week. Again, not punishing Louisville here. It'll work itself out. But because of what we saw from Notre Dame, Louisville not playing at all, they get to go up a spot. Michigan is staying at 20th after a 10-point win over Arkansas State. The score was a little bit closer than the game was. Michigan was in control of that game really from start to finish. ASU adding a couple late scores to make it look better than it really was. But still, Michigan's got some issues. The running game finally got going, although Arkansas State has one of the worst rushing defenses in the country. But the quarterback play, still really bad. Michigan should have won this game by a lot more. But interception after interception after interception from Davis Warren, that was really concerning. Really, really concerning that they cannot push the ball down the field in the passing game. And that's going to be something to monitor as Michigan prepares to host USC on Saturday afternoon. Really interesting to watch out there. USC, look, your recipe to success, stop the run. If you do that, you've got the game in the bag. I can promise you that. Rounding out our top 25, 5 more teams here. Clemson remains at number 21. They were off a bye week. Again, couldn't put Clemson in the top 20 just yet, but not going to move them down any either. Nebraska and Illinois, they face off in a top 25 showdown on Friday. We'll be predicting that game on Wednesday. Cornhuskers beat Northern Iowa 34-3. Illinois beat Central Michigan 30-9. They both move up a few spots in our rankings. And then 2 teams dropped out for us, right? Arizona, we had ranked. They dropped out following their loss to Kansas State. Boston College, we had ranked. They fall out after the loss to Missouri. So there were 2 new spots available. Who do we put in? Some group of 5 representatives. We told you last week Northern Illinois was our first team out. We didn't want to put them in just yet. We put them in now. Rest assured, we've got them barely in our top 25, sitting at number 24 following that big win over Notre Dame. They went off a bye week. Let's see if the Huskies can continue to win as they prepare to enter their bulk of conference play. And then UNLV, I was surprised that the AP poll did not rank the Rebels. I was actually disgusted they did not. UNLV is looking great under Barry Odom. They have a 20-point victory on the road against Houston, and they just went on the road and pulled off a gutsy win over what was supposed to be a solid Kansas squad. Kansas not looking to be the team we thought they were going to be back in the preseason, but nonetheless, you've got 2 road wins over Big 12 opponents. Doing so in different fashions, but equally impressive fashions. One, a blowout victory. The other, a gutsy, gutted-out victory that took every little bit of UNLV's offense and defense. I mean, it was an unbelievable performance, I thought, from the Rebels. Give them a lot of credit in that game. So you've got 3 wins. 2 of them are on the road against power opponents. Yeah, I would think they deserve to be ranked. I really do. Now, there's other teams out there. Memphis is in the hunt. Boise State is in the hunt. Those teams are right on the outside of our top 25 right now. Could find themselves in it by next week after we see all these shakeups. The Group of 5 race is going to be very, very interesting over the next couple months. Only one team is going to get into the college football playoff. But we've got a handful of teams in there. NIU, UNLV in our top 25 right now. Watch out for Memphis. Watch out for Boise State. Should be a very fun run. But those 2 teams that we just mentioned, closing out our top 25, absolutely deserve to be ranked. So, guys, there you have it. Again, a couple of changes here and there. A couple teams up 1, down 1, up 2, down 2. New number 1 team in the country. We've got the Texas Longhorns up at number 1. But, again, not too many major changes now. But next Monday, check in with us then. These rankings will look drastically different. We're going to see some massive shakeups, some massive upsets, and this is where the fun truly begins. As we enter the bulk of conference play, that's where things really start to get wild in the world of college football. And, as always, we're going to have you covered every step of the way. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and of course, check out everything down in the description below. That includes our website, thegridironexpert.com, home of our exclusive expert picks, some of the best college football and NFL spread picks in the entire country, beating out over 80% of the national handicappers. We're doing so right now. We've done so each of the last 6 years. So if you haven't signed up for those today, you truly are missing out. Go sign up for those today and become a member of our GE Nation. And once again, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.